I need like goblets like these.
These are
some badass goblets.
They're fancy. They're from the Madonna Inn. Are you aware of these goblets?
No.
They're like it's iconic.
These are iconic?
They are iconic. They're from the Madonna Inn in San Luis Obispo, and they're like fucking $50 a piece or something.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's like a thing. So I have my little collection, and they're worth more than really anything else in this house.
The most valuable things that you have in this house are these goblets.
I can't have nice things.
That's fitting for you, though.
I know.
That's okay.
That's true.
It's
things to drink alcohol out of.
a $50 glass. Actually, I have multiple of them.
Everything else I own is from Target. But that's okay.
That's also expensive, though.
That's true. It adds up.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to Weddings Uncensored, where we drink and talk and drink. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Allie. And we are here to break down the good, the bad, and the downright crazy of this whole wedding industry. Cheers.
Cheers. Wait, one more.
ASMR cheersing.
ASMR. We're gonna test. We're really testing out the road mics today.
Oh, a little champagne. We need a little champagne today, I feel like.
Oh yeah, I need to actually take a drink. I always get
just
mad at
spilled
you.
all over
Oh my god.
See, I told you I can't have nice things.
It's okay.
Today we are going to talk about
What the heck a planner
a
actually
wedding
does?
coordinator does on the day of.
I guess that would kind of start us out well. Wedding coordinator.
Coordinators, planners, yeah.
You want to break down, give a quick little definition.
We do
of
have
each
an
one?
episode early if y'all are interested in getting a little bit more of a deep dive into planners versus coordinators and kind of what the different packages mean. But we kind of want to touch today on like on your wedding day, like what to expect that those people are doing. Obviously, there's a lot varies in the planning process and leading up. And everybody, even coordinators and planners all have different packages. So it'll, be different depending on what you're looking for. And then we'll kind of break down a little bit more with the day. But yes, a planner versus a coordinator, typically, Jesus, I'm going to spill.
You spilling out your mouth, spilling out the cup.
It's my arms.
The $50. You better watch it. You know how much you paid
I would be
for that?
so sad. Starting over. So in general, planners versus coordinators. Planners are there from earlier in the process, potentially the very beginning, before you find a venue, before you set a date. Coordinators are typically coming in and doing more of the execution later on. Okay. Planners typically have a little bit more hand-holding when it comes to vendor booking, when it comes to design, potentially just more hand-holding throughout the whole process, versus a coordinator, which is kind of taking the work that you're doing and then just executing it and making it happen.
Okay.
So
planner is not just execution, it is also concept.
Yes.
So if you're looking for a wedding planner, that's going to be a higher budget because it's not just execution, it is all the concept and all of that.
Yeah.
Is that a good way to sum up?
Yeah, for sure. And again, it all differs. But what I typically tell people is a wedding planner is for people with more money than time. Because you can do it. Anyone can plan their own wedding. Yep. But it takes a lot of fucking time. So researching the vendors, Yelping and Google reviewing and all of these different things. And then contacting them, doing all of the initial calls and tracking your budget and Pinteresting the fuck out of everything, right? These are hours and hours and hours and hours. So you're either doing that yourself, which you are capable to do, or you're like, I am too busy or don't have the want and I'd rather just pay somebody to do this part for me. But the coordinator, which we talk about often on the site, I don't know. I need more champagne. Jesus.
On the podcast.
Which we talk about often on the podcast is kind of a non-negotiable. Everybody needs a coordinator.
Yes.
So in the same breath that I say you don't need a planner, you do need a coordinator.
Think of it, I guess, this way. Well, is it a good way to think of it as a coordinator is the one that would be doing everything on your wedding day that you don't want to do?
Yes. Everything that you don't want to do. And also all those little things that you haven't even thought of yet, they're doing that stuff too. So I will speak to, my company and Pop the Champagne and kind of what we do. Again, knowing that everybody is a little different. But I think one of the things that pops up a lot is you'll see day of coordinator, month of coordinator. The new term I'm seeing thrown around a lot is wedding management. So again, we're not concepting, we're managing, right? It's all a bunch of bullshit jargon, just like everything else in this industry, right? Like, how are we wrapping this up and selling it? And
what is the actual product?
We're just putting it in like a pretty little bow and package for you. But essentially, a day of coordinator really should not exist. There is nobody that should just be popping in day before and being like, okay, girl, I got you.
Yeah,
Like, we'll make it all happen. Like, any coordinator worth their salt should be working with you for at least a month. Our package really kind of kicks in like about 3 months before, because in our opinion, that is really like the minimum amount of time that we need to be getting in and kind of starting to organize things for you and working on, you know, managing vendors and all of those final confirmations, gathering certificates of insurance, a lot of paperwork, communicating to the videographer where parking is going to be. And there are so many little details that, like you
Who's
said,
eating what, because you have 30 vendor meals.
yes,
and
the
you
band
have to
has
figure
4
that
vegans, and we got to make sure we cater to them. And yes, there's about 4
Always the
million.
band with the vegans.
It's
so.
always the band in
Always
general. They're there just to make my life difficult.
Bands out there, you know, I really love having you there.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
But
You're difficult.
I'm not even the planner, and I know that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Taylor. Taylor's witnessing this right now. And
We have it.
even I know, not even as a coordinator, that
Yeah.
I don't want to work with bands.
Yeah. And basically, as a couple, you don't want to deal with that. You don't want to be tracking all of the dietary needs and,
No.
you know, going back and forth a million times, gathering certificates of insurance and things like that. So we'll just briefly breeze over saying that really, in my opinion, the couple months that we are working on your shit before we're executing on the day of is actually like the hard part. Like, if we're doing our jobs right,
Yeah.
you know, barring any emergencies on the day and crazy shit that goes wrong, which
Yep.
obviously does happen. But like, the day of should be smooth and fun, and like,
Yes.
we are just running
Moving
around
along.
and making magic and,
Yes.
you know, like
We're flowing through the day.
We're executing the plans that we've worked really, really hard on
Yes.
for the couple of months before. So that being said, when it comes to the day,
Yep.
when should a coordinator be arriving? We always are the first to arrive and the last to leave. That's kind of like our pitch. So as soon as your venue opens up and is, you know, before any other vendors load in, your coordinator should be there.
Okay.
I have seen some coordinator packages that will differ by like hours, like how many hours they include. Ours is
Like on the actual wedding
on the wedding day, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Like, oh, you can only get me for 12 hours.
And-
That'll go by real quick. I'm
It will,
assuming.
and that's kind of the crazy thing, because every other vendor category is like charging by the hour or charging with packages.
Mhm.
But coordinators, for some reason, we're the only ones that are like, yeah, 17 hours, like, it's
Here we
fine.
go.
It is what it is. But in my opinion, and why we do it that way, where we just charge the one rate, we don't charge an hour, is because like, we have to get the job done no matter what.
Yeah.
And to me, it feels nickel and dimey to like, you know, kind of add that on. But I'm
Yep.
sure a lot of coordinators and planners would totally disagree with me.
Yeah, I mean, because I can see it from both sides of like, you know, you want to do a good job and you want to have a good reputation and you want the wedding to go well. So I can see your side of wanting to, I'm just going to be there from start to the end.
Yeah.
Make sure everything is taken care of. At least a representative
Yeah.
of our team will always be here.
Yeah.
So I can see that. And then I can also see like, but that's a long
But it's
day.
a long day.
That's a
Yeah.
long day.
I would say on
you know?
average, we're 10 to 12 hours, and then sometimes much longer.
Yeah.
And very rarely much shorter.
Yeah,
very,
that's
very rarely is it
crazy.
shorter than like a 10-hour day.
That's crazy.
So, you know, knowing that going into it also is like think about the hourly that we're putting in, not
Yeah.
only leading up hours and hours and
Well,
hours and
it's not
meetings and
just
emails.
You either. It's your whole team.
Yeah.
So,
Usually there's an assistant, which is another thing to consider. Like,
yep.
does your wedding maybe require that there is more hands on deck to make
Mhm.
things happen? Sometimes people ask, you know, we have 300 guests. Does that mean we need, you know, multiple assistants? And in my general opinion, more people doesn't necessarily mean we need more hands. It really depends on your venue and the amount of like shit that you have going on, and the
yeah.
amount of stuff to set up and
Like,
DIY.
how many vendors
Yeah.
or how many like events are happening on the day
Yeah.
and where are the events happening.
Yeah. And do you have a lot of like, are all your centerpieces DIY and we're going to be putting all those together?
Yep.
Or is it all like you have a great vendor team coming in? I've done 30-person weddings that were more difficult than 300-person weddings just because of all of the logistics
Yeah,
involved.
yeah,
So your
true.
coordinator should be kind of like talking you through that as well. Like,
Yeah.
what is the assistant going to be doing, and like, how does that kind of all play out?
It's crazy to think too, like when you get into probably the higher budget weddings too, of just how much involvement is happening on an actual wedding day. So for the extravagant weddings where like there's the DJ and they have the floral installation and there's like
Yeah.
racks and bars and everything hanging on the ceilings and people doing all. What was there? Okay, what was the Greatest Showman wedding that we did?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one was freaking crazy.
Exactly. We did this wedding, Kyle and I together, and they had literally everything. It was like a surprise performance during the ceremony, and a
Yep.
flash mob during the reception, and live music, and an aerial hoop lady,
Oh,
and
choreographed
and-
first
and-
dance
and-
that
and,
led
yeah.
into the flash mob.
Yeah.
yeah. It was
Taylor was
just-
there.
It was crazy. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was your first time for.
I think that was one of our first
that
weddings.
was the first one.
For those
Taylor says
watching
hi.
and listening, there's an assistant hanging out today.
But yeah,
so it's
I
not
can see that.
necessarily like the number of humans that are going to be there, but there's
Yeah.
like a lot of other factors
Yeah,
into
yeah,
it.
yeah.
If you have a 300-person wedding, but it's at a hotel and you have like a good team of vendors
Mhm.
and the hotel's handling rentals and food and beverage, like I probably don't need an assistant. It doesn't really matter how many people
Yeah.
you have, right?
Yeah.
So
Will you see more of that? Most likely in venues that are including a lot of the
Yeah.
vendors already.
Right.
Where like they already know who you're hiring. You have this DJ, you've got this catering,
Yep.
you've got this parking situation, and it's all here.
Yep. Well, and that is another reason why, listening to your planner or coordinator and getting vendor recommendations from other vendors that
Yeah.
is only going to be good. Because if I walk into a wedding day and I'm like, fuck, I got Kyle on video and photo,
Yeah.
I've worked with this caterer 10 million times. Like, I already know things are going to be okay.
Yes.
There's no, like, I call them like the wild cards. Like, okay,
Oh, this is a new one.
the DJ is a friend. That happened to me last weekend. I won't even get into the details. It was...
Wait.
Please, please don't have your friend DJ.
Thank
I'm
you.
just so tired of it. Anyways, okay, so they're arriving to the venue potentially at the very beginning. They should probably be the first one there.
Okay.
Setting up all of your wedding shit, as I lovingly call it, is a big piece of what we do. So when you think about all the little details that you'll have, which could be, guest book and photos and candles
Flat
and
lay
escort
stuff
cards
and-
and all of the cocktail hour things that have to get flipped over to the reception and
The signage
and maybe you have a lot of DIY elements, maybe you don't, but there's usually a lot of wedding shit
Yeah.
that is passed on to the coordinator to set up.
Oh yeah, the 2 dresses and the 2 outfits.
Yes.
and
Yes.
all those.
There's a lot. And it's sometimes people will be like, oh, we don't have that much stuff. And I'm like, okay. And like you do. When you make that
And then the
inventory
two-
list
the
for
2
us.
duffel bags that you brought to
Yeah.
the bridal suite.
Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
I mean, are you providing your own alcohol for it? Like there's always more stuff than people think.
Yep.
So not only are we setting up all of those items, but we're also working with the other vendors to make sure that the vision is executed
Yeah.
as per your instructions, right? So there's a lot of physically and aesthetically making things happen.
Okay.
Meanwhile, while that's happening, so where it's 2 to 3 hours of setup time before the ceremony starts, we're
Mhm.
also making sure that all the vendors are there on time. We're constantly looking at our watches and being like, the DJ was supposed to be here at 2. It's 15 minutes after.
Yep.
I'm gonna call that motherfucker and make
Where
sure
are
that
you?
he's on his way and that
Uh-huh.
or that he read the timeline and knows where parking is.
The floral installation was actually supposed to be done 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Where are they?
Yeah. So that's another reason why we always have an assistant. Like there's always something going on and then there's another fire to put out at the same
Yes.
time.
Uh-huh.
So we're setting up, we're looking at the, managing the vendors, and then we're also making sure that the couple and the wedding party and the family are taken care of.
Mhm.
Are they where they need to be at the right time? Are they, taking photos when they should be? Do we need to get you a glass of water because you're going to pass out or a
Yeah.
granola bar? I've
Yeah.
seen that many times. Does mom need a Xanax because she's having a heart attack
Yeah,
about something?
seriously.
We always want to make sure that the couple and their wedding parties and their families feel really taken care of.
Yeah.
So we're constantly managing that as well.
And I think that goes for just all the vendors in general, but I think especially planners, coordinators, your photographer and videographer.
Yeah.
Those are the people that you're going to be spending the most time with.
Yeah.
And seeing a lot of on the wedding day, more than all of your guests combined.
Yeah.
For
sure.
You're
sure.
going to talk to all of your guests for all of 30 seconds.
Yep.
I'm going to be hanging out with you for 8 hours.
All day. I'm going to
So-
be, I'm probably the first face you'll see after
Yes,
you get married.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and you'll be the one to see them in the first thing in the morning when the
Yeah.
music just started and everyone's tired.
Yeah.
And then the last thing of them saying bye to you
Yeah.
as you're cleaning up all of their shit.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly. Yep. So pre-ceremony, that's kind of this like ping-ponging around doing that, right? We're
Okay.
setting up, we're managing vendors, we're managing wedding party. Boop, 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 kind of running around. At that point, hopefully everything's set, ready, everything's beautiful, of course, because it's a Pop the Champagne wedding and everything's smooth and just
No
perfect.
problem.
And it's time for ceremony.
Yep.
And this is an important like piece too of knowing like a venue coordinator versus like a wedding coordinator.
Okay.
The venue coordinators that might be included with your venue or something that you're like, I have a coordinator. Like, are they doing all of those things before, or are they just managing the venue and making sure that like the lights are on and the fucking power works and you know all of
I
that?
made sure that the tables got where they
Yeah.
need to go. I'm not in charge of the florals.
Yeah.
though. You know, I don't know where they go.
Exactly. And if the DJ's late, are they keeping track and making sure that someone's calling them?
So venue manager, think of them specifically execution, but only from the venue.
They're just
business.
protecting their space
Their
and making
assets.
sure that everything runs smoothly, literally just from that side of things.
Yep,
And then when you come to the ceremony, like that venue coordinator or venue manager is likely not lining up your wedding party and sending you down the aisle. Like that's not them. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the next, like I would say, major bullet point of the day. So ceremony execution, I'll tell you, like to be totally transparent, I've been doing this almost every weekend for 12 years and I still get like butterflies right before the ceremony.
it is a very exciting time.
It is. It's
a super
exciting. No,
time.
well, it's exciting, but it's also like the time I still get nervous.
Oh yeah. Well,
Like I want it to be perfect.
I know.
And it usually is, but it's like, you know, you're cueing the music, you're lining everybody up, you got to have the timing right.
But
And like,
you can do everything perfectly, but still something else can
yeah,
happen.
yeah.
The audio from the DJ is getting too much feedback because there's now 150 people
Totally.
blocking the signal, whatever it is, or something goes off, or like the couple is just not centered in the
Yes,
aisle.
oh my
And
God.
nobody changes it. I fucking hate it when that happens.
Uh,
I literally, I got a picture of another photographer. I said, please take a picture of me. And I put my camera down on the floor. I walked in the center of the aisle. I adjusted the bride and the groom, and then I walked back, and they continued on.
That's good.
I was like, why doesn't everybody do this? Because you're gonna hate those photos.
Those photos
that
that
wasn't
are
even.
not-
It
that are
wasn't even my
off-center.
photo gig, and I was like, no, we're fixing this.
I love that. I love that so much. Yes, I know. And I tell people at the rehearsal and everything, whatever. Anyways, I know. So yes, obviously there's a million things that are out of our
Yeah.
control all day and it all falls on the coordinators really. But so getting people down the aisle, making sure that that is
Yes.
smooth and all your songs are cued correctly and that the
Pets are
mic is
ready,
on
kids
and
are
that yes,
good
the
to
dog
go.
the dog is ready
Yep.
with a handler at the end and everything like that. Typically then cocktail hour would be next. We are at that point, it's another big ping pong, right? Are we finishing family photos? What do we have to flip to the reception space from the ceremony? We are double, triple checking all of the seating for the dinner. We're lighting candles. There's still a lot of prep usually during that time.
Mhm.
And again, same thing. We're managing, making sure that everyone is in the right place at the right time from the vendor perspective, family, wedding party, and all of that.
And tidbit, I would say for couples to know, and they don't really have to know this, but it is very beneficial when you do have a planner and a photographer, videographer team that works well together, because something that we do, or whenever I'm working with Pop the Champagne, is I'll have a text message thread with the planner,
Yeah.
with the photographer, and with the videographer all together. That way we're all like communicating of like, hey, I'm with the bride, or I'm with
Yeah.
the groom, and oh, we're almost done with the portrait session. We're heading on up over here. That way it relieves you, because you know you can trust us
Yeah.
to keep you updated of like, okay, where the fuck are they at? Kyle just texted me. Cool, they're on their way. You can go tell the DJ, cue it up in 5 minutes,
Yep.
or whatever it is. So
Yep.
having a team that probably the planner or the coordinators suggest, you'll have that synergy
Yep.
to make sure that the day is going even better.
For
But
sure.
the couple doesn't really know this though. You know, like
Exactly.
you'll never know that I always text Allie or
Yeah.
Taylor or whoever it is, or
Totally.
so.
And that's why I think, like what I was saying at the very beginning too, it's like all the things that you haven't thought of, and you
Yes.
shouldn't have to think of that. That's why
Exactly.
you hire vendors to do it. You're not going to think of 10 million logistics. Like
Yep.
another thing at cocktail hour with photo video, like we always make sure that the reception space is ready and set like 10 minutes before before we let guests in, because you want those big, wide, sweeping like photos of your reception space. Well, guess what? If your photographer is off doing family photos and we have to let guests in, like, how is that working? So
even same thing for the ceremony site too.
Yes.
Like the big empty ones where you could see everything and no one was touching it. Like that was also thanks to the planner and coordinator telling us, hey, it's ready, go shoot it.
Yeah. And don't shoot it until I have this done and whatever.
Or
so
like, oh, I saw you take a photo. I can't tell you how many times other planners will be like, oh, I saw you take a photo of this. I need to add one more thing over there. And I'm like, oh shit, I had no fucking idea.
Yeah, because how would you know? Yeah. And couples don't think of those things because why would they?
Yeah.
So
and it wouldn't have been my fault. I'm like, oh, this looks ready, you know? Boom, got the photo.
Yeah, exactly. So, and again, a lot of that kind of like goes back to all of the pre-planning, right? So we're making sure that timeline is like beautiful and it accounts for all of those little things.
Magnifique.
Yes, always K Magnifique. That we're accounting for all of those, that we're building in a wiggle room when hair and makeup is inevitably going to run late, all of those things. Like a lot of this is done.
Don't say that.
Prior. A lot of it is done prior. So cocktail hour happens. Whew. We're
done.
We're not done. We're not done, but we're probably done with a lot of the setup at that point. But really, like, I don't think people think about that too. Like, we're still like physically moving things around, repurposing, still setting up. We're moving chairs, whatever it is, for quite a while. When guests move into dinner or for like the main meal, we are still kind of managing vendors and managing wedding party. I like to make sure that we're always giving our couples and anyone else involved like 5-minute heads up for everything that's about to happen. So like, hey, Kyle, we're about to do toasts. Like, do you have to pee? Now would be a good time. That's stuff I think that you learn the hard way as a coordinator when I like tell the DJ that we're ready and the best man was in the bathroom or whatever. It happens.
All vendors have those like lessons learned of like, well, I guess I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I hear you.
But we're essentially queuing everything, right? So if you have good vendors to go along with it, a DJ that knows what the hell they're doing, the photo video team knows what they're doing, it will feel very like synergistic.
Yes.
Synergistic?
Synergized?
Synergized?
Synergized.
There will be synergy.
But cohesive?
Yes. But sometimes the vendors aren't all working together as well. Or when you have your friend that's a DJ, like you better believe we're literally queuing every single thing that happens throughout that event. So at that point, I always tell our couples, like, yes, we're sticking to the timeline, but also trust that we as coordinators are like feeling the flow of the day. And we want things to feel really organic. Yeah. And it's like, if dinner's running long, like, we're not going to panic. We're going to know exactly how to adjust everything else moving forward. And that is, again, why you have somebody. Because does mom know how to do that? Is she going to be panicking? Is your maid of honor, like, somehow trying to talk to the DJ? Because whatever. Like, all of those shifting and ebbing and flowing of the day that is natural and expected, your coordinator is making sure that things are still flowing as organically and smoothly as possible.
No, and I think there was a recent example of, I think the biggest vendor it's hard to adjust with, at least at the reception, is catering. Yeah. So they're providing all the food. So like everything has to drop at certain times and so on and so forth. But there was one wedding in particular where the coordinator did the best that they could have done. But let's just say there was a band and the band was playing and all of a sudden people wanted to start going to dance. But the grand entrance hadn't happened yet. And the band just kept playing and playing and playing, and people were having fun, but like it was pushing back the timeline, and the coordinator just thought like, oh, people are having fun, let them keep going. That messed up the food. For sure. So guess who didn't get any dance footage or dance photos?
Well, and the caterer was probably pissed because I come from a catering background, like originally. So I am.
Well, you got that brain. You already know.
I'm very, very empathetic to getting 150 people food on time. Like to get people hot food on time is challenging. And so as a coordinator, I will let things go loosey-goosey, photos, videos, photos, videos, setup, like anything. I'm like so chill about mostly everything. But when timeline comes to like getting people fed, that's very serious to me.
I mean, as it should be though,
Yeah.
because other people take it as seriously. You don't want hangry
No,
wedding guests.
no.
You don't want a hangry couple. You don't want a hangry wedding party. Hangry parents.
Nope.
Hangry grandparents.
We don't want any of it.
No, none of that. So
And likely your catering bill was the biggest. So
Yeah,
you probably want everyone to have a
exactly.
nice
Yeah,
meal
yeah.
too. And like all your chicken's fucking cold
Yeah, yeah,
because you
yeah.
decided to dance too long pre-ceremony. Like that's
sit your
not,
ass down and eat.
yeah, exactly.
You can dance
So
after.
that once dinner is served, and I tell my couples that too, like once hot food is dropped on your like plates, I'm a little bit more loosey-goosey with
Yeah.
the timeline. Like it's kind of whatever after that point.
I'm like, it's dancing, a garter, a bouquet toss,
Yeah.
a cake cutting, whatever it might be.
yeah.
All that stuff can happen within 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, if we
you
need
know?
to like
If we
really
need to make it-
condense all of that, then we
you
can.
want to go dance and that's you're tired of doing stuff? All right, cool. Let's bust everything out in 5-10
Yeah.
minutes and then you're done.
Yep.
Go
Yeah,
dance. Do your
exactly.
thing.
So typically after dinner, then we are, that is sort of also all encompassing of like toast and all of the things that happen at dinner. And then we are moving on to the rest of the tradition. So we're talking about first dance, we're talking about parent dances, cake cutting, bouquet, garter,
Mhm.
all of those types of reception activities. And it's kind of the same thing, right? We're queuing, we're managing, we're moving things around if we need to.
Yep.
Oh shit, like I forgot that she had a second dress she was going to change into. So we're going to push this back.
Actually, she didn't tell the photographer. Videographer.
She didn't tell anybody.
She didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
She just brought it.
Let me say
actually.
this. I didn't forget. She never told me.
She never told. Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. That's accurate.
That's more accurate.
That's about 90% of the time. A second dress
oh,
comes
you have
in.
a second look. Cool.
Wow,
That's
great.
great.
Thanks for telling me. Love that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that to your point with photo video timeline, that is the one thing that can get like crunchy during
Yeah.
that time is if we lose your photo video service an hour after dinner
Yep.
and you want to do all of those things and you want dance photos and you want dessert photos and blah 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 blah, like that is where we're still really kind of on it for
And, like,
coordination.
And to your sense though, like that's not really. It is your job, but it's also not your job at the same time. If the couple wants more stuff documented, more stuff means it's going to take more time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like there are times where sometimes we'll get a couple that inquires and they're like, oh, we're thinking between 8 and 10 hours. There is so much you can do in a 2-hour time.
Yeah.
2-hour time addition.
Yeah.
Whether that's 1 hour additional before the wedding and you add
Mhm.
another hour at the end. I'm like, that's an extra either hour of dance footage
Yeah.
that you may have been running late to and may have not gotten in the first place.
Yeah.
Now you know you have it. Or you kind of wanted the getting ready, but you didn't really want the extra hour. So now you don't have any getting ready.
Yep.
So
Well, and that's why timelines are so important.
I know,
We
I
love
know.
we love the timeline.
I know,
word,
and I know
but it's
you.
true.
You always do a good job though of like, okay, we know we have X vendor for like photo or video for
Yeah.
a certain amount of time, and trying to get as much as you can while they're there.
Yep.
But inevitably, there's some stuff that we just
Right.
can't get, and
Yep.
that's not your fault.
Oh, it's
That's not the
exactly.
photographer or videographer's fault. That is just the package and the price that they or we are charging.
Yeah.
So
But when it comes to the day of, we are basically in charge of making sure we're doing the
100%.
best that we goddamn can
Yes,
to get
yes,
all that shit in
100%.
before your time is up or whatever.
Mhm.
So we're still moving, right?
Yeah.
Now it's dancing. We're still not stopping. We might have had 20 minutes to sit and like shove some food in our mouth during dinner.
you couldn't sit. You had to
But
stand.
yeah,
and
we
eat.
weren't sitting. We were
Let's be
perched
real.
and at a cocktail tables, shoving some chicken in our mouths, and then moving on to all of these things. I think really usually the first time that we have a break is finally once it's like open dancing, maybe that like last hour of the night.
Yeah.
Literally, that's the only time where we have some downtime. But really, sometimes it's not even that because there's late night snacks going on, or there's
oh yeah, that's
you
right.
know,
the
some
churros,
other-
the ice cream.
Yes, there's some
and-
other vendor going, maybe there's a ton of cleanup that needs to happen. And so our assistant is cleaning up from the ceremony site while we move,
Or there's
there's-
a dessert bar now that
Yes.
has to get set up because donuts from Krispy Kremes are coming.
yes, exactly. There's so many things that will still happen at the end of the night. So we might have some downtime at the end. Mostly not.
Probably not.
Mostly not. And at the very end of the night, maybe we're coordinating a grand exit. Maybe we're pulling out 5 million sparklers and glow sticks and things like that to manage as well. I know
Yeah.
I'm doing my rapper
Yeah.
microphone thing again.
My
I don't know what is wrong with me. I'm like, I don't know how to hold a mic. This is not what I do. So then at the very end of the night, typically there is the cleanup. And that is the part that like, it's so funny because no matter how many times we talk about it on our like worksheet that we send to couples, we talk about it during our timeline meetings, we
Yeah.
talk about it 5 million times. Who's going to take everything home? Where are these boxes going to go? Do you know what needs to get packed up? What can get thrown
Who's
away?
got this?
Yeah, it seems like not a big deal, but it is a very big deal. The wedding I just coordinated on Friday had 2 Suburbans full
Oh,
of shit at the end of
shoot.
the night. Leftover
Dang.
booze, all of the boxes of their decor, leftover cake, all of this stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it was probably 45 minutes worth of cleanup from me and an assistant, plus all the family helping to load stuff in the car. Like, do not sleep on how
that's
important the end
crazy.
of the night is as well, because especially as the couple, what is your exit strategy?
Yeah.
Like, are you just going to
Are you
Irish
going
goodbye
home?
and call an Uber?
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Or is there an exit moment with the whole like formal transportation? Are you going to an
Mhm.
after party? Whatever it is fine. But more than likely, you don't want to be staying there helping to box up candles and
No,
loading
I
stuff
would
in
not.
cars.
No. I did that
So-
on my wedding, but only for candy. We had a candy bar. and
Just because you wanted the candy.
we just grabbed candy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was very helpful.
It was. It helped clean an area. It was
I'm
fine.
sure that was helpful. So we're helping to pack everything up, load everything up, send the couple off to their after party or whatever those pieces are. And then we always stay until the very end. So again, this is not something that every coordinator does. I don't know what kind of hate I'm going to get on that, but we are always the last people to leave the building essentially
You
because
only get hate from people that just don't want to put in the effort.
that don't want to
you
do it. Yeah.
And that's
Well,
okay.
a lot of venues require that the coordination team is there till the very end. So we essentially do like a final walkthrough with the venue.
Yeah.
And it's usually a very thorough, like we walk through every
The
single room and everything.
bathrooms
Yeah.
and the
'Cause there's
bridal suites.
And there are so many things that can happen at the very end of the night that people don't think about as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the DJ
Even like
loadout.
scuffed walls.
Stuffed walls?
Scuffed.
Oh, scuffed walls. I said stuffed walls. Scuffed walls is a great example. Yeah, there have been like obviously items missed, that
Mhm.
people left, but also like the rental company is late to come pick things up, and now you're supposed to be out of the venue at midnight, and they're not even there yet, and now you're going to get charged overtime. So like we're
Mhm.
still calling vendors, looking at the timeline, making sure people are on time. What's supposed to be happening? Like we're on hour 12, and we're still doing the same thing we were doing 12 hours
Dude.
ago. And
Are we getting near when you're actually done yet?
Oh, this is
Because this is like
this is finally
a
the
lot.
end.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, the final walkthrough, literally we're on hour 10, 12, 14 at that point, and
Yeah.
we maybe had an hour during dancing to like
That's
sit and
crazy.
chill. So it's a full day.
Yeah.
You're getting your money's worth, y'all.
Yeah. Dude, seriously.
You're getting your money's worth.
Seriously. I think
Um,
I wonder what it would look like of how many hours you put in on a wedding that has like we'll say like a 3-month contract of like what does that hourly rate look like?
Yeah.
Because I feel like couples also may not know how often you actually are working on their wedding.
right.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
and that's why we don't break it down in an hourly way. And I have seen, and again, no shade against like however you want to break it down,
Yeah.
but we have like a flat rate. And I just think that is so much more like fair and encompassing, because some weddings do require more hours prior, some
Yeah.
require more hours on the day. Like it really just depends. But
And not
for
every-
us as a business, like as a vendor, as a business owner, it kind of evens out at the end, right? I had like a longer
Yeah.
one, I had an easier one, I had a harder one, whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me as the business owner, I can say that kind of evens out. But yeah, some weddings that require a ton of work, I would hate to break it down into an hourly for myself,
Yeah,
because it would be like
You'd be
minimum
like-
wage.
Yeah. You're like,
For
why did I
sure.
even do this?
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's quite a lot.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that being said, of course, we love it. And it is so fulfilling. And at the end of the day, when we're getting hugs from not just the clients, but from, their grandparents and, feeling like we're part of the family. Like the wedding I
Mhm.
did on Friday, literally, I was like, I'll see you guys at Christmas, because I love the family so
Oh,
much.
nice.
And
that's awesome.
like, it's such a cool feeling.
Yeah.
So it makes the 14-hour days worth it.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
How for couples looking, what are things or like phrases or something that they should be looking out for of like, oh, I heard this, that means this would be a really good coordinator. So like, or a planner. like for example, if someone came up to me and said, "Oh, so and so company does this well, and this well."
Hmm.
If you're looking for a coordinator company or a coordination company or a planning company, what are those? What are like a couple things that they can latch onto that would
Yeah.
be good for them to be like, okay, this is how I know. How will couples feel confident? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Of like,
I mean, obviously, I think it's like when you're looking for any vendor category, like I do think that referrals are always a number
100%.
one.
Yeah.
And reviews are legit, like looking at
Mhm.
people's review sites, even though we all have such a love-hate relationship with gathering reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
But I look at our reviews sometimes, like I look at our own reviews sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, like this is it. Like those are like the sales pitches almost that I don't even know how to communicate.
Yeah.
Because it's the people saying like all these things that I didn't think of before or didn't anticipate, like they just happened. Or
Yeah.
man, Taylor ran to the liquor store to get me a Red Bull in the middle because I was tired and like I didn't even ask for that. Like
Yeah.
I think it's those over like and above pieces that I read like when I read our reviews that make me really proud of our team, of
Mhm.
course, but also like that solidifies like why we're doing what we're doing,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know? I think again, making sure that if you are hiring a day of coordinator, they're not just coming in last minute. Like,
Yeah.
are they getting involved at least a month before? Like, that's super important. And then when you're looking for any planner or coordinator, again, it's like, where are your strengths and weaknesses
Mhm.
and where can this person come and really like pick up where you leave off?
Yeah.
Are you good about organization but you hate the design side or vice versa?
Yeah.
Like where is this person going to be able to come in and step in and truly assist you? Because that should be what we're there to do,
Yeah.
is to make your lives easier, not
Mhm.
harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if a planner instantly is like slow to like communicate, or if they're kind of trying to like sell you on something that you don't think that you really want,
Mhm.
if they do really all these things really well, but that's like not what you need,
Yeah.
like then no, that's not the right person for you.
Yeah.
There's enough options out there.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point to bring up, because I think I'm asking for like, oh, listen for these three things, but I think every wedding is going to be
Yeah.
different. Every couple is going to be different.
Totally.
So it's kind of like you are your own little puzzle.
Yeah.
And this planner is going to be the puzzle piece that helps connect all the other
Yeah.
vendors or the other good moments, or
Yeah.
like the things you didn't know about. So
Yeah.
I think consultation call, obviously,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see if like you can have like a good vibe and the energy matches.
Totally. And I ask people that like at the beginning of consultation calls, I'll be like, tell me about your experience planning so far. Like,
Yeah.
how has it been? Like, what parts have been stressing you out? What parts are exciting to you?
Mhm.
What are you looking forward to? When you think about the day, what are you most nervous about?
Yeah.
I ask them those kinds of questions
Yeah.
because then I kind of get an idea of where their head's at. So yeah, I don't know that it's always the same, but not everybody is a fit for everybody,
Yeah.
right? There's enough business to go around.
Mhm.
Like we're very like, we have one package, we have one price. We're either what you're looking for or we're not. And I'm not going to mold our shit to go finish. Like there's a million other planners that can do things different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's finding someone that is a good fit for you as a couple.
Yep. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
All
well,
right.
thank you for joining in, and thank you for joining our guest today, Allie from Pop the Champagne.
That's me.
Wow. Can you tell the people more about your business
Oh, okay.
and where to find you?
These people have heard too much about Pop the Champagne. But yes, please. We do have people reach out like on our Weddings Uncensored Instagram and stuff like with questions. And I am super happy just to like give feedback and help as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, follow us at Pop the Champagne.
Don't look at me.
Follow us at Pop the Champagne. And we will see you next Tuesday.
Peace. Oh, we're supposed to drop the mic.
No.